Instagram the other day.
Yes, sir.
It was one of our shots.
All right, why don't you go first then? Since,
Actually, I have a question about that.
He just said I could go first.
Yeah.
Cormac, you've played NC State before, obviously, in your career, but like, what do you think it will be different tomorrow night over there? Obviously, like, what have you experienced before, and what do you think you'll experience tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of history in this league. You know, playing NC State at Notre Dame, I've heard is different than playing at Carolina. And so, you know, I'm expecting a great atmosphere, you know, and a fun game.
Okay. On the note of the repost, C Drizzle. Tell me about that nickname.
That's just that's something Harrison just kind of came up with, and you know, I love Harrison. He's got a lot of energy, and so he's always kind of, you know, keeping it light, and he gave me that nickname.
All right. A slightly more serious question. Baycott was saying that today's practice, he was going to kind of talk to some of the newer guys, the transfers, about what the NC State rivalry means to him and to the program. Did he do that? And if so, what did he share?
I haven't spoken to him yet, so we'll see kind of what his thoughts are.
So what is your expectation about what's going to be like tomorrow?
You know, I mean, it's an important game for us. You know, we're 3-0 in the league, they're 3-0 in the league. You know, we want to continue the way we've been playing, you know, playing physical, playing, you know, a lot of, you know, rebounding the basketball well. And, you know, we want to win this game, and for a lot of reasons, but if none other than to just move to 4-0 in this league and stay undefeated.
As far as the atmosphere goes, have you experienced an environment where you're called a lot of names during the course of the game?
I played a lot of basketball. I played a lot of college basketball. I've seen some of the greatest college basketball environments, so, you know, I'm excited for it. I love playing in loud and raucous environments, so we'll see what they got.
Cormac, you obviously, you know, as an offensive player or as a team on offense, you can get in a rhythm, you can get hot, you can sort of get on a tear. Do you think the same also applies for a defense? Because, I mean, defensively, the last couple of games, seems like you've been able to take it to another level, and you know, that's what's helped you win these games. Can you get hot defensively also?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you can, and I think a lot of that is it starts with preparation. Obviously, it starts with kind of how you practice, how you prepare for a team, whether that's personnel, whether that's scouting, and then a lot of it is just the mindset, you know, and that hunger, that desire to play defense. That is something that, similar to, you know, shots going in and making you feel confident. You know, you get a lot of stops in a row, you feel really confident, and it kind of frustrates the other team, it upsets them, it disrupts them, and you can kind of build momentum off that. And so that's kind of how runs are built, you know, largely on defense. Obviously shots go in, but you got to get stops to kind of go along with making shots, and you know, the more we can do that, I think the more success we'll have.
Cormac, after last game, Hubert was talking about how he liked some of the dialogue that was going on during one of the timeouts, how a lot of you guys were facilitating that. I guess for you, how have you guys kind of embraced the, you know, maybe like those on-court conversations amongst each other?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a pretty experienced group, and we've got a lot of guys who've played a lot of basketball. You know, myself, Armando, RJ, Harrison, Jay Witt, Pax, you know, like guys who are, you know, old veterans, you know, who have a lot of perspective, who've been in situations, you know, basically every situation you can imagine. And so kind of being able to speak up and give our feedback to coach and to each other about what we're seeing and what we're feeling out there, I think that's a real strength for us. And that's something that I think Coach Davis has encouraged from us, especially the older guys, to kind of step up and speak up when they think they, you know, see something or want to make an adjustment, or even just to, you know, get guys going. And so that's something I feel really comfortable doing. I know a lot of other guys do too, and so continuing to do that in huddles, on the court, you know, wherever possible is going to be good for us.
Yeah, and then just a quick follow-up to that, he was also saying today that, you know, he's kind of noticed it happening a little bit more often, you know, maybe kind of last few games. Would you kind of say that you guys have grown, I guess, more comfortable in, you know, kind of facilitating that as you guys have gotten to know each other a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's less so about knowing each other or feeling comfortable. I think we've always felt comfortable with each other, and we've always been a really close group. I think, you know, maybe in the last few games we've been on the road, and so I think being in those environments, that kind of forces you to play with a certain edge, play with, a little bit more toughness, more hunger than maybe you would have at home. You kind of have to have that mentality on the road, especially in the ACC. So, I think that could have something to do with it.
Seems like the group is having a lot of fun. How much does that have to do with most of you guys coming off frustrating seasons last year, wherever you were playing?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Obviously, everyone loves to win, and everyone loves to be a part of, successful teams. And so the more we do that, I think the more you'll see us smiling, and I don't think that's a surprise. But I think we also just have a really good blend of personalities. We've been saying that all year. I think this group is really connected on and off the court, and I think that's a huge strength for us. It's something that I've experienced throughout my entire life. Playing team sports is when you have that chemistry, you genuinely like the guys you're with. That translates, it literally translates to on the court play, because you have a certain level of trust, you have a certain level of accountability, leadership, especially when things get tough, and that's when it matters most.
Cormac,
You tweaked an ankle in the Clemson game. How is it? Was it the same ankle? And have you gotten past where it hurts your lift on a jump shot?
Yeah, it was the same ankle. Kind of one of the tough things about playing a long college basketball season is if you get an injury, it's hard to get it back to 100%, and so little retweaks like that will happen. It's something I've dealt with before, and so it's feeling good.
Hubert, you just mentioned trust. Hubert was talking about trust earlier when we talked to him here a few minutes ago. And he said he showed you guys an example of that in the NBA about some guys that were trusting each other, and some of which it comes on the defensive end. Could you sort of elaborate on the difference between being on a unit where you guys trust each other implicitly on the floor as opposed to maybe when there's not as much trust?
Yeah, the example he uses is actually from one of my favorite players of all time, is Kevin Garnett. I love KG. I love the way he plays with that fire and that edge. I think he's one of the best leaders and just energy guys of all time, and obviously his skills speak for himself. But he talks about the Celtics with Doc Rivers and kind of their philosophy of called Ubuntu, which is one of the ways he describes it is I'm where I need to be because I know my teammate's where he needs to be, and so it's kind of that chain reaction of being able to trust where your guys are, knowing that they have your back and you have their back. It's a pretty strong force that you can develop in a team, and so that's something that we've talked about from the beginning, in the summer, and something that we still continue to work on. I think we've got work to do, but it's something we've taken a lot of steps in the right direction towards doing.
He went to trust when I'd asked him about maybe a common thread with you guys closing out Oklahoma, Pitt, and Clemson and clamping down defensively and scoring enough. He went to trust and said that's one of the components that you guys have used in closing those teams out. Is that what you've seen? Is it a matter of when you go out there and you have to clamp down and make a series of stops, you have to trust the other guys are going to do their job?
Yeah, I think trust is a big part of it. I also think just hunger is a big part of it too. You got to really be hungry to get those stops, make winning plays. I think being unselfish is a huge part of it, and that's not just offensively. I think that's defensively as well. I think that's for guys who are playing, who are not playing. It's a team unselfishness of I'm willing to do what it takes, even if it means maybe it's not my turn to shoot, maybe it's not my turn to do this. Making those winning plays wherever possible, that's how you win those games. And it might not show up in the stat sheet. It might be a possession with 2 minutes, 30 seconds left and not a buzzer beater, but those are the possessions that win games, especially tough games, especially road games.
In terms of closing out those tough games, how nice is it to have someone like RJ who, you have a lead in the game, pass the ball in, foul, he's going to the line, you're putting confidence, an extra 2 points. What does that mean in terms of level of confidence late game?
Yeah, RJ obviously has been terrific, and having a guy like that, who's shooting so well from the line, who's scoring the ball at such a great, clip is such a weapon for us. And so, we've got a great free throw shooting team that helps us late game. We've got old guys that helps us late game, and we've got playmakers, like RJ, who can, get you a basket or get a foul or, do what it takes to kind of seal the deal. And so that's something that we, we're fortunate to have, and we're excited to kind of use going forward.
Cormac, I wanted to ask you about Paxson, and this is a dude that went from playing 35 minutes a game last year and scoring 15 points a game to having to pick his spots, and I think it's 10 minutes a game off the bench now. Like, how have you seen him navigate that, not get his head down, keep his head up, and be able to be effective like he was at Clemson? Because there's some huge moments there. Like, how have you seen him go about that?
Yeah, I mean, Paxton is like, we're talking about trust, we're talking about leadership, we're talking about accountability. Like, he's all of that. And, you know, I think that's a big reason why, you know, Coach Davis recruited him and brought him here, aside from the fact that he's a terrific basketball player and, you know, he's capable of hitting huge shots, you know, scoring the ball at a high level. Like, he can do all that, but he's a tremendous teammate. And that's something that I'm fortunate to have, you know, as a friend and as a teammate, and I know all the other guys would say the same thing. You know, he hasn't flinched, he hasn't blinked once in terms of it's got to be, you know, me or my shot or this, and that type of attitude is contagious. And, you know, I think, you know, guys like Paxton, guys like Zayden, you know, they, like Coach Davis always talks about, like, you couldn't tell if they played 40 minutes or 0 minutes. And I think that goes down the line for the entire group. And so, you know, he's been a tremendous example. But don't get it twisted, like, Pax is a heck of a ball player. And he will make big shots, has made big shots, and will make more big shots for us.
And to that point, when you saw the 3 ball go in the other day, rainbow over PJ Hall, like, I mean, how did that feel?
I'll tell you, it was no surprise, because we've been seeing that every day in practice. He lights guys up. And so, you know, I think we were all really thankful that it went in, because it was a huge shot. And then Seth hit the one right after. And, you know, those are guys who we know how good they are. And, you know, it was no surprise at all.
Cormac, you
Couple more, please.
guys have scored 100 this year, and you've also had games like 65, 70 points like the last couple. How important is it for this team to prove maybe to itself that you guys can win when it's an up and down game, and also when maybe the shooting's not there?
Yeah, it's really important. You know, there is a lot that goes into winning a basketball game, and sometimes you're scoring the ball at a really high clip. Sometimes you have to win it ugly and defensively and, you know, in the trenches, as Coach likes to say. And so I think the past couple games have been a good example of how to do that. And it gives us confidence knowing that we can do that. And we're not a team that has to rely on scoring 90 or 100 every game, that we can win and hold the team to 55 on the road. You know, that gives us a lot of confidence in us and our ability. And I also think that speaks to, you know, how good of a team we are, because, you know, good teams find ways to win, whether the shot's going down or not.
Can you speak a little bit to the 3-minute drill and I think Hubert mentioned a score drill that you guys do practice in late game? What's been the impact of that in terms of your confidence in those late game situations?
Yeah, I mean, I just like the rest of practice, you know, the idea and the goal of practice is to prepare you for a game. And so that's one thing that we feel has been good for us, is preparing in late game situations, preparing to get, you know, multiple stops and scores, like consecutively build runs. And it's, you know, the same thing. We practice ball screen defense, you practice offensive execution, defensive execution. You practice all these things because you want to bring them to the game. And so just like, you know, those other drills or practicing free throws, practicing whatever, you know, you want to practice putting yourself in a situation where you have to kind of, you know, man up and get stops and win games.
The other day at Clemson,
Last one.
on what happened with the ankle, did Gerard just accidentally clip you on the way down? Because I don't know if you jumped and challenged it, because Jalen was out there too, right? Like, did he just get a piece of you and trip you up a little inadvertently?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the replay. I didn't really know what happened at the time. You know, I came down on his foot and just kind of caught an edge and tweaked it, which, like I said, being an already tweaked ankle, it doesn't take much. You know, I don't think there was anything more than that. I think it was kind of we were all kind of tight in airspace and landed on a foot. I don't even know what the call was. I think it was a no call, or I don't know what it was.
You went down, so they stopped playing.
Yeah, and so I think we did. I mean, me and Jalen did a good job contesting the shot, and, you know, it was unfortunate that it landed on a foot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Cormac.
Thanks, Cormac.